Welcome to Issues That Matter. My guest today is Scott Ritter, and Scott is going to talk about the event that he's going to have next week, the Russia US Citizens Summit. So tell us all about it and how you got the idea for this.
Well, I mean, this is the idea of promoting dialogue between American citizens and Russian citizens is, first of all, it's not a an idea that I invented. In fact, this year is the 40th anniversary of the original U.S. Russian Citizens Summit, the Space Bridge of 1985. If you remember Phil Donahue, the famous TV talk show host, and he worked with a Russian gentleman named Vladimir Posner, and they put together the first space bridge. It connected Americans from Seattle, Washington, to Russians in St. Petersburg, or then Leningrad in the Soviet Union. And they were able to talk to each other. They asked each other questions. They answered their questions, and they created this process of dialogue that led to a better understanding between the two nations and helped break down the various walls that had been built, ideological walls, walls based upon perceptions and misperceptions, prejudices, broke them down so that Russians and Americans could see each other as human beings. And this helped bring it into the Cold War. Well, today we have similar walls being constructed or already have been constructed that need to be brought down. So there's no greater need than now for this kind of dialogue, to resume this dialogue. It's something that I wanted to reinstitute back in the summer of 2024. As you might recall, I was supposed to go to Russia. Um, I had traveled to Russia twice since April of 2023, both times on month-long trips that put me in contact with Russians, beginning this process of dialogue. And I thought that rather than me just talking about my experiences, to give Americans and Russians the opportunity to have that experience themselves. So in the summer of 2024, I was supposed to go to Russia for 44 days. We were going to go to 16 different nations or cities, and in each city, we were going to put together a podcast that would connect Americans and Russians and facilitate this kind of dialogue. Apparently, this was seen as a threat by the United States government, so they seized my passport and prevented me from being able to undertake this trip. Um, well, rather than concede defeat, we're just going to go ahead and get it done anyways. A Russian colleague of Vladimir Posner, named Pavel Balabanov, reached out to me via Paula Day, who is the head of a group, CCI, that has been doing uh, dialogue and trips to Russia uh, for Americans and Russians. But when the special military operation began in 2022, they weren't able to continue their travel. But Paula has been very engaged, and Pavel reached out to Paula and said, "Look, we want to do this thing again. We want to have a second, uh, you know, iteration of the U.S. Russian Citizens Summit. Can you recommend people to do this?" Now, the Russians are coming in. This is a big deal in Russia. This has the support of the presidential administration. The senior most Russians think this kind of dialogue is a good deal. And June 18th, the day this is going to happen, is the first day of the St. Petersburg International Economic Forum, the big um, economic geopolitical forum in Russia. And so, on the first day of it, we're going to hold this summit. They were looking for a major American partner. They reached out to all of the American mainstream media outlets and things, and were ignored. There's nobody in America interested in this. No one. I mean, literally, the mainstream media outlets don't want to do it. They reached out to some, big media personalities, including Tucker Carlson, who had previously traveled to Russia, but he was not interested either. They deemed it too risky. It's you're getting too exposed. If you do this, you could run the wrath of the U.S. government. Hey, don't I know about it? Because I wanted to go to Russia, I got visited by 40 of our local friends from the FBI. Um, but, so people back down. I was contacted to see if I could come up with some ideas, and I had proposed, Judge Napolitano, and we had talked about a New York City venue, but you know, I don't have a. I wish I was a successful businessman and I had $1 million to sit on and go, yeah, hell, we'll go to New York City. I can put up $120,000 to get a hold of a venue in New York City. We can't do that. But what I do have is a network of friends and like-minded people. Gerald Solante in Kingston, New York, has every year been putting together a rally for peace. And he's a big believer in promoting this kind of dialogue. And so I went to Gerald and I said, hey, you've got this wonderful facility, the Mohican Market, the old Mohican Market. And what if we converted it into an American cafe? And that was the setting for this dialogue. And he agreed to it. We sat down, we worked out a budget, and I went back to the Russians and I said, I can't give you New York, you know, but I can give you a slice of America. And that was Plan B. I think they really wanted to do something in New York City, hope to get a major media sponsor. But I kept telling them, I said, look, don't turn your nose up on alternative media here. I'm part of a family of podcasts that can generate, 3 to 5 million views. And if you remember, the first Space Bridge got 9 million views. That was with major corporate sponsorship. We can get 3 to 5 million, and that could even grow. We hope we could even get more. But this isn't something to turn your nose at. And they waited and waited and waited. They were hoping and hoping and hoping, and finally, in the middle of May, I told them, I said, I've got to know. I mean, we're a month out, and I need a decision, or else I can't deliver. I can't hold people. I can't make people stand by for forever. So they came back and said, no, we're interested. We'll use Kingston. So now we're working to make Kingston happen. We will make it happen. We have a technical team together. It's going to be a great event. The doors open up. Again, it's at Gerald Solante's Mohican Market in the historic crossroads in the gosh, what do they call that? The Stockade District of Kingston. And doors open up at 12. If you, it's an invitation only. I'm sorry. If you don't get an invitation in the mail, you can't come. There's only 50
Yeah, but
seats.
they can watch it on
I'll get to that. Yeah, I'll get to that. It doesn't mean that you can't, be a part of this. You just can't be there physically. There's only 50 seats, and I received hundreds of applications, and I've gone through them, and unfortunately, some people get to go and some people don't. But those invitations will be going out today to the people who are going to be. But if you can't make it, don't worry about it. First of all, we hope that this is a success, and we'll be able to repeat it. As I told you, in 2024, I wanted to do it in 16 different cities across Russia. If this is a success, there's no reason why we can't repeat this model elsewhere. And it doesn't mean that Scott Ritter has to be your moderator. Once we establish the Citizen Summit concept, um, there will be Russians who will want to reach out to Americans, and people can set up their own U.S. Russian citizen summits in
Mhm.
different cities and talk. So, this
Yeah,
is
but
hopefully.
Scott, you're talking about different cities. The internet, what we're doing right now goes out to millions of people. So even if you're not in Cleveland or Chicago or Los Angeles, and you're doing it right in Delmar, it's still going to reach the same number of people, probably, right?
Oh no, having people view it is very important, and people will be viewed. But and as I've told, because there was some talk about doing this purely virtually, meaning that we would do a giant Zoom call. And I said I refuse to participate in that. That I believe in the human element, and that we need people together. We need a community, and a community can exist online, and it does. But a community, humans are physical beings, and we function better and the physical presence of other human beings. That makes for a more complete, connectivity. And so I believe there has to be a physical manifestation of the U.S. Russian Citizens Summit. There needs to be a physical representation of it. And so I believe that if this is going to happen around the country, it has to physically manifest itself. You're right. If you can't be there physically, you can watch it, and it'll be as engaging and informative as possible. But as I said, the doors open at 12. Um, uh, John Letzik from Farmers and Chefs, a fantastic restaurant in Poughkeepsie, New York, is going to be catering the event, and he's put together a great menu. If you got a ticket, you get to eat, and it's free. Um, so come, grab a plate of food, and meet your fellow participants. Sit down there and spend 2 hours getting to know one another, talking to one another. And at 2 o'clock, the curtain goes up on the show, and for the next 3 hours, Pavel and I will moderate what we hope to be a very interesting um, dialogue between Russians and Americans. There'll be a cultural aspect to it. I know we have opera singers going to be performing a very popular Russian opera. I believe that we're also going to have some other performers there to, Gerald Salante, who is kind enough to provide this venue. He believes very much in that the only thing that's going to save humanity is a new renaissance. Um, that it's not just going to be bold leaders going out there and leading boldly, but this is going to require mankind to embrace the arts, embrace beauty, embrace the things that make life enjoyable to live. And so that's why we're incorporating this to demonstrate to Americans demonstrating to Russians, Russians demonstrating to Americans that we have this we share the same passions, we share the same appreciation for beauty. So that's what we're going to do. It's going to be 3 hours. We're going to stream it live. I'll be putting out a post that tells you how to do it. We're going to be capturing it, and it'll be going out, on various YouTube channels, so it can be watched later, even if you can't see it live. And we hope this is the beginning of something, something bold and something beautiful and something that achieves meaningful results. If we as citizens sit back and wait for our government to learn how to talk to the Russian government, we might be waiting forever. I believe in leading by example, and I think it's time for the American people to teach our government how to do diplomacy. And that's what we're going to be trying to do next week, citizen diplomacy.
So, you said it's going to be streamed, and it's going to be streamed. Where could they go to
I'll put
watch?
once we solve the technical issues, I will publish next week a on my Substack, and I'll get it out on X and everything else. And I'll send it out on emails to how you will be able to connect to the stream.
Great. So, will will you be talking to people from all over Russia, or just one particular part?
No, this is the U.S. Russian summit, the space bridge connecting St. Petersburg with Kingston, New York. And so this is the live audience in St. Petersburg will be interacting with the live audience in New York.
Oh, okay. So, will there be people to interpret what each is saying?
What we have set up is we will have simultaneous interpretation. Um, so the audience in Kingston will be hearing an interpreter's voice. So when a Russian is asking a question in the Russian language, you'll be hearing an interpreter's voice in English, and they will be answering in English. The Russians will hear when the American person speaks in English. The Russians will be hearing a live Russian translation. So it's not going to be sequential because that takes a lot of time. If
Mhm.
I have to speak and then somebody has to speak in Russian, that just takes a lot of time. So it'll be simultaneous translation, um, and we're in the process of resolving all of the technical issues that are surrounding this. This is a big deal. I mean, it's a huge technical problem, but fortunately, I have a bunch of people who are very supportive of this and are committed to making this work. And Pavel has the same thing, and we're through the miracle of modern digital communications, we're going to make this work.
Great. And the miracle of, you know, it is a miracle, and it's amazing how many people you could reach,
The
right?
Russians expect this to go out to over 100 million people in Russia. So
Wow.
I'd like
Well,
to believe America could do the same, but I'll settle for 3 to 5 right now.
okay. So, Scott, anything else on the horizon for you?
Well, I mean, as you know, we live in a time of great conflict and such. So, I just hope that we can find a way to make dialogue, um, more popular than war.
Mm,
And so that's what I'm going to be working on. When I finish with this space bridge, I'll be moving on to my next project. It's Project 38, and it's built around a movie, 38 minutes, which will be a 38-minute long documentary that captures the emotions felt by people who believed on January 13th, 2018, that they were going to die from incoming ballistic missile. They were told to find shelter when no shelter existed. And they were told that this is not a drill, which means they truly believe that they were about to die. And, you find out a lot about yourself when you're confronted with that kind of information, who you are, what your priorities are. And there are two key questions that come out that I ask as part of this project. The first one is, if you were in that situation where you were going to die and that was it, if you could be given the opportunity to go back in time 6 months, knowing that if nothing changes, that missile is going to come back and kill everybody, what would you be willing to do to stop that missile from being launched?
mhm.
And then the question I ask everybody is, why aren't you doing that now? Because that's the situation we're in right now. That missile's coming. It's going to kill you. What are you doing now to stop it? And Project 38 is the answer, at least the answer that I'm proposing. It's a campaign. I confront the President of the United States because this took place in his watch. I say, you are responsible for those 38 minutes. Those 38 minutes of terror are because of you and your policies. And therefore, um, you owe me 38 minutes. And we're putting together a team B of briefers. And we are seeking a 38-minute audience with the President of the United States to confront him on the danger of nuclear war and the absolute necessity for arms control, and to provide him um, a path forward that he might not otherwise be being shown by the advisors around him, who continue to promote an arms race and the real potential of conflict. We only have to see what's happening today between Israel and Iran and to understand that the president's advisors have failed him when it comes to pursuing his great plan of peace. He needs better advisors, and I'm going to put together a team B of people who are better advisors.
Okay, Scott, I will see you Wednesday because you said you sending me an invitation.
I am sending you two invitations.
Right, right. So I will see you on Wednesday. And thank you for taking the time to be on Issues That Matter. And thank you, everybody, for listening. If you like this show, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you.